My never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, or see them yopo.
Atiefo yema obi biara kwaba eba PENDREAM TV so yansa kan another news update yede ba besom mo. The news update way efree Kevin Taylor akache na Kevin Taylor aswai se Bryan Acheampong ebe PM wo USA and as United States of America. Ono Kevin Taylor ebe ma US Security Force abe fano. And as obe reporting ma United States Security na omo ache no. Ne ekofa ensemwe nyina ebaye ne se Bryan Acheampong eko PM wo Veterans Committee in Parliament ebra na omo appointing as what minister oko PM wo Veterans Committee omo tututu na no ebisa nsensem na yebisa Bryan Acheampong say you worked with the United States Army na in what rank and I say ejuma ben na we in the United States Air Force Army na Bryan Acheampong antimi anyi ensema ato force in ebisa no afei so no emrebe atwa mu one ba omia ekopie mu ewo work biase na okotre mu say Bryan Acheampong kopie mu work na so no osenya ade a MPP will hand over power to an NDC government enuma Kevin Taylor ebe expose no say Bryan Acheampong is not a creme de la creme in terms of what security and I say uko US Air Force na Bryan Acheampong anweke one or US Air Force adwuma mum na mum na enye higher rank and answer na onkra position bia emu oduru sa na ono kra no na oye fuel apprentice eno sa expose na Kevin Taylor ede abeto dwa na enen so no wasan asende a strong warning to Bryan Acheampong say hwe na wamba United States of America na so oba US obema US Air Force and as a US Security Force abefano na mempese meka ensema Kevin Taylor ankasa editu dwano de Bryan T ensema ankasa echemu na ansa na bekono sa won subscribe to channel na click the notification bell no so yenti ensema Kevin Taylor amane Bryan Acheampong.
I am not done with you, Bryan Acheampong. Eji bia no betena Ghana krono eji krono aza. I told you I want to interview you, Bryan Acheampong. I want to interview you. I'm not done with you. Moji se Ghana for Jimmy Ohun. Mo betena brochira, mo makodada Ghana for any ekoye school ha, any ekwa. What you have lied to Parliament, you Bryan Acheampong. Technically, you are a criminal. Now, over America, I will make sure the system picks you up because you have gone out of the state, gone to other country to lie them about what you did in the US Army. Anytime you enter this country, I'll let them pick you up. You Bryan Acheampong, because you know when you were in the army or reserve, you know what you did. Why are you telling people different things? Why are you lying to them? Why are you telling them your job is so sensitive that you cannot tell the Republic of Ghana Parliament? You, see, anytime I'll see you enter America, I'll place a case on you. They will pick you up. You have disgraced the United States Reserve. You are a liar. Sana Maya Sadia Bedru, I say you, Bryan Acheampong, me say, I will make a case against you. I will say, where I will place the case, you'll be shocked. I'll see a set example about Ghana young people. I might imagine say they can lie their way out of everything. We will use you people. You Bryan Acheampong. Oh, dear, soon in America. I will use your own document to challenge you here. Remember Ghana, but Messi president of Ghana. I am the Ibra Dango. Therefore, Ghana, Tronkwa. It is easy. And I'm preparing a document to go give to the army and say, this is one of the guys who is saying that he is this in Ghana's government, whilst he is not. And that's one thing American government hates in the military. And if I open the phone lines for veterans in America, Ghana form army actively, they will tell you, you don't lie about your rank. You never do that. You don't misinform people about what you did in the US Army. Bryan Acheampong has misinformed Ghanaians about everything he said he did in the army. He was in the reserve. But he comes to Ghana, the interview in Parliament, the records are there. He's saying something else. He is telling Ghana for say he was in a sensitive position. Ubu Petro, was sensitive position. Let's say we will use you people to set example. This generation, we will pose questions, so we demand reasonable answers. Question for sao. I keep telling Ghanaians, nobody who can say, where dear Osa and Massa, my bed you stick out to rent. Nobody may say you enter America. If I get any information, so we're America, I'll just make a case against you. Just defend yourself. I'll make a case as an American citizen against you. Just defend yourself and let's see. Because there are tapes that I can play. I can add to my case. You defend yourself. I have nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose.
Yet why ensem so no yen na yebe kaya na nsen na Al Jazeera e de expose bi beto dwa a expose no na about the gold mafia. Na the gold mafia no na dodankwan Akufo-Addo edin PM e na afen so no abibiman ahodo bi a omodin den ebe PM na expose ne beto dwa na dodankwan Akufo-Addo oma Al Jazeera some days bi say omon police expose ne down. Na afen so no o demand an apology letter from Al Jazeera. Na Al Jazeera so de beto dwa say enya hade a omobepa na dodankwa Akufo-Addo achew efa expose na omode abeto dwa no. Eno ma Kojo Oppong Nkrumah so ekopie mu o one of the media platform na Kojo Oppong Nkrumah ekopie mu media house na se no o de ensembi to dwa na Kelvin Taylor de ensembi so Kevin Taylor are very active to Ninsema or the two Jano. Now, was Sunday a strong message to Nana Dodankwa Akufo-Addo and also Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. I mean, Reno Yentie and Sama Kevin Taylor at the two Jano.
Now, I'm going to show you something. Kojo Oppong Nkrumah Eko Asempa FM. Nana Dodankwa Akufo-Addo extra letter. Eko ma Al Jazeera. Say, Gold Mafia documentary omu ye no. Omu hunya bebi woma sebio omu di omu njintum na Al Jazeera omu 7 days. Now after 7 days na Al Jazeera I retract it any video name film mema Akufo-Addo so be fa no ho adwene we are president of the Republic of Ghana or throw letter no in our name. So green paper no so president the throw letter a taxpayers paper. Into omu Jubilee House wo ena omu ka omu tubo omu no so omu throw letter koma Al Jazeera warn and say gold for oil, gold mafia. Lester Matthias ka se Akufo-Addo ye kromfo onim no oye ne lawyer omu wia gold bomu no omu throw letter koma Al Jazeera na Kojo Oppong Nkrumah eko den oko Asempa MPP for platform so ena obi busa ne se Oppong Nkrumah na letter na mo throw koma Al Jazeera no letter na response ba no ada na ye nsankan ye na moma yentie de koso ewa Asempa ye wia na afa ye hu de wagimi any de onjimi ye. This is Oppong Nkrumah misinforming Ghanaians.
Jazeera at the end, we have a lot of headlines. You say Al Jazeera say they don't owe Akufo-Addo
any apology. Yes.
But now me hope say my publishers our story no. Can say Al Jazeera say they don't owe Akufo-Addo an apology because. Okay, I was sorry him.
No, I've not seen because.
And only ade bi American was him say ye journalism ne sa story ne try na half. Maka hwasem.
Yes.
Say obi say ni fa obi ho. Ena obi atro krata say masa Kojo asem a o kan fa me ho me ma 7 days. So one retract asem na.
Yes.
Miss you.
Yes.
Ena Centroni biako bisa nipa cross wonsa ka obi letter na o se ne sen. Ena me my reply Centroni ni say I don't owe Obi an apology because documentary na me ye no me ye wie no me tro wo mu say nipa no di kan asem no fa Obi ho no ono aka se me kan enso me boa. Ena Obi so me bisa no or say enye no kre na me de be share documentary no eto ho inti documentary na me ye no me wie no me kan wo mu say Obi ho fa inti me nsan en o no apology for from.
Okay, when the example our man answer, this is what actually happened.
You, read the full response that was given when the journalist asked that question.
No, but why is government not also?
I know a different question. I'll come to that.
Yes.
I know a different question. But I'm saying, say, the first part, there will be a to abonting. say or say I don't owe Akufo-Addo an apology. There's a because to it.
And that because was not published.
There's a because to it. I was saying when you bisa or my publishing story and they say because near there because no stadium say because me a documentary new year and me throw what was say nipa no kan sa asem no fa Akufo-Addo ho ono awie no say asem no kan no emfa Akufo-Addo ho enye no kore ene ebisa Akufo-Addo office no almost responded say bibia say any ho enti yengu ni hu because of that we don't owe him an apology. This is all the true story say we don't owe Akufo-Addo an apology. No one fasa because we am become one.
Okay, and no would be a bit misleading. But the other thing is say in the midst of some controversy, because a buying extra letter they come at Al Jazeera, it was made public.
Absolutely. Well, but
yes,
what I hear and say, and you're buying this letter and a better abonting. Now, the correspondence that went to them, in fact, I was having a conversation. I mean, I think it's fair for me to say it with Kowasuman, who explains to me, say, and you're buying this correspondence, a better abonting. It was a correspondence to Al Jazeera, and from what they say, they did not put it out.
Okay,
that correspondence was between the two of them.
Yes.
And I'm expecting to see say reply and also to government and also be out.
But who will do that? Why not the trouble on my government take that way first step?
If government decides that despite the initial desire say in common between Omoni Al Jazeera, now because more or less that confidence has been breached, particularly because Al Jazeera has referred to it in its response to a media person. I think it's fair for government to put out whatever response Al Jazeera gave it.
And you believe, sir, from the information you have, when that response from Al Jazeera comes out, it has no negative way for government and the president?
Bisa, omo publish omo email to Al Jazeera.
Yes.
So the full response from Al Jazeera. I think they even published it. Don't just look at the headline. Not kind of full response from Al Jazeera. Not say, is it not in it to say they don't owe an apology because at the end of the documentary, omo ema nipakrono confronting nipakrono can say they are now working earlier and shed and second the office of the president an opportunity to react and they also reacted to deny it into omungu ni humfimbia and therefore they don't owe him an apology. Pacho Bison for copy. Now one kasa can say if that is not the intendment of that response. I know you're one side. Secondly, I agree with you to say if indeed Al Jazeera has referred to it in its communication with a journalist, it's all fairness said the office of the president should also put out that response
Al Jazeera,
so that anybody who still has misapprehensions in their minds can see it.
But another legitimate question would be, Sir Kojo, I would want to believe, sir, before Sir presidency ever trust our letter to Al Jazeera, they had watched the entire documentary.
I believe so.
It is not much the entire documentary. Didn't they see some bits? They say attach the video.
In the letter that I read on social media, what I saw is that they actually even referenced it. But Omoma Semne say, baby, the idea no share. So obi kwan mani gumi hufin. Say bia yeti we invite you bia studio. Wabe gumi hufin be 1 hour.
Yes.
Prime time 1 hour. We twa me ho ntro nyina same din. Now be sorry akọ 5 seconds before be kono say okay but they am kind of cramp on be enche da nyampa. Na uwie na kind me text message so but me text Kojo bisa Kojo say enokra na nya nokra na Kojo so ka say nyampa. Obi, do you think you've been fair to me? It is in that light that the office of the president wrote that letter. Say, the constructive effect and they say, what good you can't allow somebody to come and say all of these things which are not true. Then at the end, say, okay, they are mechanical and publish a president text message from the council say or say mostly will be see my essay, I won't provide further and better particulars because I have no recollection of this kind of matter. This thing cannot be true. More publisher and to be the tour. Effectively, no more good nothing. So yes, they had seen it. Yes, they referred to it even in the correspondence. And if Al Jazeera argues, say they don't owe him an apology because they stated that at the end of it, I think the fair thing to do is to put all of that out.
Yes.
For everybody to see, say, oh, the NTO Musi, they don't owe him an apology. They said they consider, say, the denials at the last end of the documentary are sufficient to cure whatever mischief may have taken place. This is what they mean by their letter. If that is the case, put it all out there. And I agree with you, sir. Again, now that Al Jazeera has referred to it, it is fair game for the office of the president to also then put out whatever they received.
But at least from what you have seen in that correspondence from Al Jazeera, no, you think it clears the president of any wrongdoing?
I've given you the facts. You have to now tell me whether in applying the test of the man on the Clapham bus, the test of the reasonable man, whether it does or not.
This guy is not a madman, or the information minister of Ghana. Kojo Nkrumah, you know one funny thing? Today, the whole documentary and letter to Al Jazeera and Al Jazeera response to the presidency, it boils down to because, hey, the man nominee, the back and forth, the letter to Al Jazeera and the reply from Al Jazeera and the DND, it all boils down to there's a word called because. Jimmy. This guy is the information minister. He can walk into the president's office and demand every document, any document to defend the presidency. Today, the government is telling the government, Kojo Oppong, who is the government spokesperson, the whole government, he speaks for the government, he is telling the government to tell us. We have the man, so watch us for we. The man who is the spokesperson for the government, who can drive to the presidency and say, Mr. President, I want to speak to you. I want to go out there and speak on this issue because people are asking questions. He can demand any document, He came to Acheampong without a document, without a letter to prove that what he is saying are the facts. A journalist sits before him and says, oh, okay, Onkuta Bibia, or say, those are the facts. This is a man who sat before Ghanaians and said, nobody is going to pay water bill. This is a liar who sat before Ghanaians and said, nobody is going to pay their lights bill. This is a liar, a chronic liar. He sits in front of a journalist and say, those are the facts. And then the government is now telling the government to release the government documents. Journalism. Al Jazeera because a boys way no munyinam so Jimmy. I'm PP boys way. Oppong Nkrumah no oh journalist not so with Jimmy. Me Oppong Nkrumah the team no can say whatever you are saying here, you've not shown me any facts. So I'll also take it as somebody sitting anywhere else and speaking to me. In fact, you are the information minister. I expect you to go above the regular person. If a journalist at TV3 has been able to secure a reply for Al Jazeera, you want to tell me as the information minister, you cannot secure a document from the Jubilee House to tell me that you are powerful than the journalist. Then, if I live in Ghana, I should respect the TV3 journalist and respect whatever he tells me than to believe you Oppong Nkrumah, because you walked in here with nothing, but you're telling me they are the facts. Are you crazy? Are you silly? Where on earth? Kojo Oppong Nkrumah enya party foot soldier. Kojo Oppong Nkrumah is the minister of information or for information in Ghana. That is why I don't conduct interviews. That is why on my show, I don't call people. I want to talk to you. Politicians are robots. That's why I don't do that. Because I will not entertain this nonsense. It's a total disrespect to me sitting in front of you. What makes you an information minister? What makes your words powerful than John Hughes of TV3? He could not even credit TV3. He could not even mention the journalist's name. He could not even show. This is clear misinformation. This is the guy who is working in Ghana and telling Ghanaians misinformation, disinformation. Kojo Oppong Nkrumah is misinformation. And if you're not smart, Oppong Nkrumah is a former journalist. He knows how to lie. He has been lying throughout his career. So he knows how to dilly-dally. The concept that we're doing here, because if I am Obi, I'll just ask you a simple question, Mr. Minister. If anybody had walked in here to sit here and speak on this matter, I wouldn't have made the person sit here to talk to Ghanaians. The reason why I've given you this opportunity is because what you can have access to, nobody can have access to. Now, you can't sit here and come tell me that a documentary we all watched. Now, the question here is, Al Jazeera put a documentary together. They didn't publish it. Al Jazeera never published it. Before they published the documentary, they wrote to the president. And the president, dumb liar, who has not won any case, they say TV poll, more lawyer and that foot soldier lawyer, and they say rough no. Now we sit here, we don't know anything. Al Jazeera do their investigations. Out of respect and the ethics of the job, they write to the presidency. These things have been said. Can you clear yourself? You write back to Al Jazeera, and Al Jazeera will say, yes, these things this guy said, these are my response. Al Jazeera says, okay. Now, before Al Jazeera published the story, they approached Alistair Matthias and asked him, the things you said were captured on camera. What do you say now before we publish? He says, everything I said, it's not true. Alistair is in trouble. He will never admit guilt. Now, Al Jazeera publishes the documentary. And in the documentary, it does not matter where they place a Akufo-Addo statement. Al Jazeera did not flout the ethics. What they did is they placed it in there. Now, the argument of Oppong Nkrumah and Jubilee House, no, from what I made out of this stupid statement, conversation in the say, Nanka was Al Jazeera dedicated 10 minutes, Emma Akufo-Addo statement, no Troy, no. Now Al Jazeera dedicated another 20 minutes. Emma Akufo-Addo response, no. Send the whole world will see, say, Akufo-Addo is not guilty. But is the documentary for Akufo-Addo? Then Al Jazeera put it there. Into Al Jazeera put it there. They were supposed to have a whole band sitting there and playing. This is the Akufo-Addo response, 5 minutes. No. When Anas Arimya Anas did the number 12, he came to Akufo-Addo. He asked the president that, do you know anything? The president said, no. It is against the Indian. How many minutes did Anas place that response in the documentary? Was it over 1 minute? No. It does not matter where it's captured. As far as it is captured in the documentary, everyone will understand. You don't decide where your response to be captured. You are even lucky. Right after your episode, Al Jazeera published your response. Oppong Nkrumah is a misinformation minister. Where are your facts, Mr. Information Minister? How different are you from a blogger? Oppong Nkrumah, how different are you from a blogger? You are ignorant about your job and you keep telling people are misinforming. You are misinforming. How can the whole information minister come sit on TV vaguely? This is a sensitive matter. The president writes a letter. Then you are telling us to go and read a response that was sent to a private entity, while the presidency has a response. And this is how sometimes the disrespect, we can't keep some words. Then how different are you from Abronya DC? How different are you from Chemaun to me? You are equally ignorant, because we expect the minister who is in charge of these things to come with something that I would not have access to. If Johnny Hughes and TV3 have gotten a response from Al Jazeera when the presidency, when they released that letter, even if the letter wasn't released by the presidency for us to see, the letter was written in the name of government of Ghana. That is our letter. So if there's any trust that has been broken between the presidency and Al Jazeera, I, Kevin Taylor, as a Ghanaian, I don't care. What I care about is my president's reputation is on the line. What response did Al Jazeera give we Ghanaians? Akufo-Addo could have used his home address to write that letter. Akufo-Addo could have instructed that his...
After the gold mafia expose by Al Jazeera, no, Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo demanded an apology letter. Na omunsema omunso omretu eja enie.
International broadcaster Al Jazeera said it would not apologize to President Akufo-Addo of Ghana over allegations in its recent investigative documentary, Gold Mafia, since it did not allege the issues raised in a Jubilee House letter from the president's office demanding an apology. The government's letter claimed, among other things, that the documentary made baseless claims that Akufo-Addo acted as a lawyer for Alistair Matthias and implied that he personally benefited unlawfully from a $100 million state infrastructure contract purportedly awarded to Mr. Matthias. At least 8 African leaders were mentioned in the Al Jazeera Gold Mafia documentary, including Ghana's president, Nana Akufo-Addo. The mafias mentioned in the exposé were often associated with at least one African leader, and Alistair Matthias, one of the alleged money launderers, associated himself with Ghana's leader. Mr. Matthias is one of the alleged money launderers who uses gold to move and clean large amounts of illicit money. He acts as a bank for corrupt leaders, and he holds, moves and distributes commissions of dirty money for politicians. In a country deep in the throes of election horse trading, the documentary ignited a torrent of criticism. The opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, berated Mr. Akufo-Addo for not categorically denying the allegations by Mr. Matthias. The president's office tepidly told the broadcaster that he had no recollection of Matthias, and former special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, punched holes in Mr. Akufo-Addo's letter to Al Jazeera. Although the president has challenged claims made in the documentary, the minority is demanding an investigation into the allegations, petitioning the office of the special prosecutor to investigate the matter. Minority leader Dr. Otto Forson, in a recent Facebook post, said that the revelation that $40 million worth of gold is smuggled out of Ghana every month is deeply concerning, and insisted that the country is being exploited by collaborators who benefit from illegal gold mining and smuggling. According to the Minority Caucus, the number of corruption allegations in which the president and his deputy, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, have been named has reached alarming proportions. The most recent is an allegation that a Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Adu Bowen, took bribes from artisanal mining investors and used the presidency to peddle influence. Just a month ago, Original All, in a global report on illicit trade, cited Ghana as a major transit point for illegal gold shipments. The report identified Ethiopia, Ghana, Sudan and Uganda as major illegal gold trading routes, with prime destinations being India, Switzerland and the United Arab Emirates. The analysis of trade data in the report showed that from 2013 to 2016, more than $6 billion in outbound gold shipments from Ghana to its three biggest trading partners went unreported. If all of Ghana's gold trade partners' export and import statistics were to be evaluated, the figure is predicted to increase dramatically. For instance, the difference in gold imports and exports between Ghana and Switzerland from 2013 to 2016 was more than $3 billion. According to the report, Switzerland purchased about $7 billion worth of gold from Ghana. Officially, only about $3 billion worth of gold is on the books. According to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ghana loses a further $2 billion annually in unpaid royalties and taxes on smuggled gold. There are also important national security implications, with the report saying that illicit gold mining is becoming a rising source of income for cartels, criminal gangs and non-state armed groups. The millions of dollars lost due to such activities could close the huge deficit gap created due to poor revenue mobilization. The 7-day ultimatum issued by Jubilee House to Al Jazeera to retract and apologize for the alleged misrepresentation of the president in the documentary has long passed, and noises about a suit at the International Court of Justice are just that, noises. Even if the authorities proceed with the lawsuit, Ghana's larger fight against illicit gold trade can only be successful if the government shows a greater commitment to legal enforcement and mustering the political will to regularize large parts of the industry. Instead, it appears content to peddle excuses and threats. With election season almost in full swing, this circus will continue for some time.